the gravitational waves of the sun and moon affect the behavior of animal and plant science. Evidence has been found that the gravitational pull of the sun and moon strongly influences the characteristics of animals and plants. Although the exact mechanisms by which this effect occurs are not clear, it came in new study, the Journal of Experimental Botany, on the effect of the sun's and moon's gravity on our planet's life, was published by researchers from the University of Campinas in Brazil and the University of Bristol in the United Kingdom. In this study, the researchers argue that the gravitational tides of the sun and moon can alter the sleep, movement, and growth of animals and plants, even when other factors are taken into account. All Earth's property, whether alive or dead, is subject to the gravitational pull of the sun and moon. Gravitational effects of the sun and moon as stated in a report. According to a Science Alert, a new study shows that although the gravitational waves of the sun and the moon are relatively weak, they are still important when evaluating the nature of life on Earth, combined with 1/1,000,000th of the Earth's gravity, says Cristiano de Melo Galip, a biophysicist from the University of Campinas in Brazil. Official statement. According to the São Paulo State Research Support Foundation, all living things on Earth, living or inactive, are subject to the gravitational pull of the sun and moon in the form of tides. Periodic oscillations form 2 cycles per day, adjusted monthly and annually as a result of the movements of these 2 celestial bodies, in which case all living things on the planet evolve. See also the SpaceX crew is launched to the International Space Station. Gravitational waves of the sun and moon may be relatively weak. Comprehensive review and analysis of data to reach these results. The researchers conducted a comprehensive review of previous studies using the meta-analysis method, which involves applying statistics to the results of a set of studies, which may be inconsistent or inconsistent. Find the orientation or trend or possible joint relationship of those results. This method was applied to data from 3 previously published studies, which contained information about gravitational tides but did not explore the cause of gravity. The first study of isopods was conducted in 1965. Isopods are small, shellless crustaceans that range in size from 300 microns to 50 centimeters, and formed on Earth at least 300 million years ago. This type of crustacean ocean follows the gravitational tide. It has been observed in this type of crustacean that the swimming patterns of these creatures follow the gravitational tide of the ocean, even when transferred to laboratory waters with artificial tide. The second study, conducted in 1985 on the state of coral reef reproduction, found that coral reef growth and larval production coincided with local gravitational tides under the influence of the sun and moon. The third study, on growth modulation in sunflower seedlings, was conducted in 2014 on a study of sunflower seed germination. Coral reef growth and larval production adapt to local gravitational tides. Rhythmic patterns. In a new study, researchers studied circadian patterns that show living things, including circadian rhythms or light and dark cycles associated with day and night cycle. The nature of animals and flora is determined by these environmental factors. In this experiment, the light component was separated from the rhythmic cycles to test and demonstrate the effects of other environmental factors. See also a great opportunity to see Mercury, the most obscure planet in the solar system, in their in vitro study. The researchers also examined the influence of the tidal cycle on the behavior of coastal creatures such as crustaceans during their migration from their natural habitat. Laboratory test results. The results of the analyses in the new study show that in the absence of so-called natural effects, called rhythmic effects, light or temperature, tide and local gravity are sufficient factors to control the cyclical behavior of these organisms. In all 3 cases, the effects were found in controlled conditions and subsequently in animal and plant behavior. Germination of sunflower seeds according to lunar and solar gravitational patterns. According to the Science Alert report, laboratory experiments on these animals and flora using artificial tides showed that these animals adapt to the tides and change their behavior. This behavior, which coincides with the timing of the lunar tides at the site where the creatures are stored in nature, lasted for a few days, says Cristiano de Melo. We later discovered this phenomenon through our tests on different types of seeds and the additive results obtained from the laboratory. He adds. De Melo concludes his statement by saying, gravity cycles affect not only the simplest living things, but also humans. In the dark go through periodic fluctuations of 24.4 to 24.8 hours, depending on the lunar cycle.